Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020, and I was originally going to make a 2020 Senate election video. I mean, a prediction that I do at the beginning of every month is pretty standard. But as I'm making this video, as of 8:50 p.m. Eastern Time, I get an alert from Twitter, not directly from Twitter, obviously, but a retweet that I saw that shows Mark Kelley ahead by 17% in Arizona. So whenever I see these 17%, these 15, 16-point margins of victory in terms of polls for these challenger candidates, people that aren't the incumbent party or people that are expected to do at least have a mildly competitive race with them having safe margins ahead of the election, I usually throw it off as a random pollster that does things wrong. I mean, the outliers are there. And when we look at Arizona, you would think, oh, this poll, a 17-point margin of victory for a Democrat. What are you smoking? I mean, that's what the question would be asked. Is that realistic at all? Well, the poll that was released was from Fox News. Now, if you don't know about Fox News, it's an A-rated pollster. It isn't done necessarily by polling Fox News watchers or anything like that. So the pollster generally has little to nothing to do with the actual polling, depending on their methodology. Some pollsters definitely lean a little bit to the left or to the right. Some are historically inaccurate, some are historically accurate. But for Fox News, I mean, they're an A-rated pollster from FiveThirtyEight, so they do get things pretty accurate. I think they have a 71% success rate, but it's hard to see an election where they show a Democrat ahead by 17%. I mean, that is significant. Mark Kelley has gone through periods of time where he's led by 11% on the average throughout June and July. He was up by a pretty significant amount. I mean, June and May. And then July hits and he's down to, at his lowest point, a 5-point victory over Martha McSally. And now this new Fox News poll shows Mark Kelley ahead by 17%. What is Joe Biden's margin of victory according to this Fox News poll? Only 9%. Now, while this election might be closer, the fact that he's even hitting above a safe margin means this race not only is gone from the GOP, but Mark Kelley is such an extravagant candidate that he's doing 8% better than the popular, at least comparatively to his opponent, popular Democratic nominee for president. So Arizona Senate race, why is this so significant? Well, this is John McCain's seat. 4 years ago, John McCain won this race on top of the presidential election year by 13%. Donald Trump won the state by 3.5%. So as elections progress, typically Senate election candidates on the GOP side do better than their party counterpart in the presidential election. But this state of Arizona proved otherwise, voted for McCain by 13% despite Trump only winning by 3.5%. 2018 rolls around, Martha McSally runs against Kyrsten Sinema. Either way, Arizona will be electing a woman to the Senate. Kyrsten Sinema ends up winning, defying the polls and the betting odds, winning with a 2.3% margin of victory, a 3-point swing from what the polls predicted versus the actual result. And the reason why this was so significant is because the entire 2018 Senate races were very competitive, but the GOP ended up gaining 2 net seats. But they lost Arizona. This was an open seat. So it sort of made sense that Arizona was turning its tides, but the fact that a Democrat won outside of the automatic recount was important. And then, this is on top of her losing in the polls. So the polls projected a Republican victory, as they did, overestimate Trump's support in 2016 as well. And now 2020 is rolling around. Not only is Biden leading in Arizona, 5%, Trump is, Martha McSally is the incumbent Republican senator. How does this happen? Well, due to John McCain's unfortunate passing, John Kyle took his seat up through December 31st, 2019. And then Martha McSally took over from then, and she is the, winner. At least she will be representing the Republican Party on the ballot in November. Why? I don't know why. Doug Ducey made a very horrible decision by choosing Martha McSally, because a lot of people were talking about notable Republicans that very well could have taken this position, very well could have been nominated and possibly win this election. But now we have Mark Kelley. If you don't know who he is, he's the husband of former Representative Gabby Giffords, very well-known name for gun control. But Mark Kelley, an astronaut for America, very, very well-known guy now in the state of Arizona, and it's all reflecting. I mean, the numbers show that even Republicans are endorsing Mark Kelley, because what used to be a state that was competitive, I mean, the early polling data showed that Martha McSally was ahead. OH Predictive Insights, Kelley was losing in the initial data, this was in, this is 2 years ago, so this was 2019, and then Kelley starts to take a lead, and then randomly out of nowhere in June, McSally's put ahead by 4%, but it skewed the average just slightly down to around a 5% lead, and then Mark Kelley just led in every single poll since then. Do I think the margin will be 17%? No. But could he be up 17% at this point? It's possible. Martha McSally is literally the candidate that voters rejected 2 years ago. Anyone that pays attention to the ballot even remotely will recognize that name. On top of the numerous attack ads, I'm sure Mark Kelley is pouring and pouring out. And the thing is, the fundraising race doesn't get any better for Martha McSally. This money is being wasted. The GOP thinks they can retain this seat. While they should be focusing on the presidential election in Arizona, they should absolutely give up the Senate race. Martha McSally has handed the Democratic Party 2 seats in the Senate. Flipping it, from 2016, there were more Republican representatives, there were 2 Republican senators, and 2018 rolls around, there's 1 Democratic senator, 1 Republican senator, so split ticket, 5 Democratic representatives, 4 Republican representatives, so it flips from GOP control to Democrat control, and then 2020 rolls around, and Martha McSally is on track to lose. This was a race I included in my map when I talked about the 3 Senate races that the GOP needs to give up. This race is long gone for the GOP. They have yet to realize it. And I think maybe if Fox News puts out a poll that shows Mark Kelley up by 17%, maybe, there could have 2 effects on it. The GOP could recognize that. Their base could realize, I'm not sending my money to a race where the candidate's losing by 17%. Or, some people could be saying, oh, well, we're down 17%. Let's try to narrow up the margin. It might be winnable. But realistically, it just isn't. Martha McSally is disliked by her constituents. She was put in there, never elected to this position, even though she's ran for it twice, and is the incumbent Republican senator who took John McCain's seat. John McCain's family has also endorsed Vice President Biden. So all of this will be helping the Democrats in Arizona. And I honestly think Mark Kelley being on the ballot is benefiting Biden more than it's benefiting himself. Obviously, he's going to go on to be the next senator if this continues, but Mark Kelley being on that ballot has definitely moved the state to the left. If Mark Kelley wasn't the nominee, we would be talking about an entirely different race here. If Martha McSally was not the incumbent Republican senator, we would be talking about an entirely different race now. But the odds have fallen, and the Democrats are coming ahead in this state very drastically. So here's a little thing about Fox News. It's an A-rated pollster, A- rated pollster from FiveThirtyEight. Looking at this, I guess you could say, result, I will say that I don't expect Mark Kelley to win by 17%. I just think that it's very significant that now, when we're so close to the general election, 60 days out, we see a Democrat ahead by larger than a safe margin in a state that didn't even vote for them 4 years ago. Comparing this to the 2016 presidential margin of victory for Trump versus the Fox News result, what is that? A 21-point swing from 2016. He's not barely at 50%. He's at 56% and 52% on average, which means no matter how much Martha McSally wants to catch up, she literally can't because he has the majority. Doesn't matter how many of those undecided voters she wins over. Spoiler alert, she probably only wins half of them, if that. She still loses. And that's just the unfortunate reality for Martha McSally. And that's the unfortunate reality for Republicans in Arizona. This state has moved further and further to the left very drastically over the past 4 years alone. I understand that it could be viewed maybe in 2018, oh, it's a Democratic wave year, whatever. Now we're seeing a loss on the Senate level. We're seeing a loss on the presidential level. And if Doug Ducey's approval rating holds through the 2022 election, they could lose him as a governor and lose it as a Republican seat. Arizona, while it used to be ruby red, is very similar to Virginia. And I think this election will exemplify that. If we take all of the states that the Democrats and Republicans currently lead in polls, let's apply that to this map. Montana goes red, Kansas goes red, Alaska goes red, Iowa goes red, Georgia special election goes red, and for the Democrats, they win Maine, they win Michigan, they win North Carolina, they win Colorado, and you guessed it, they win Arizona. So it's a 50-50 tie, which is why the presidential race absolutely matters, a lot more than it does normally. But if we apply the polling data, Arizona, not only is it in the Democratic column, but the average makes it likely. Same thing can be said in Colorado, in Michigan. Even at this point, even in North Carolina, Maine is lean. New Hampshire's safe, Minnesota's safe, Virginia's safe, New Mexico is safe. So the Democratic Party, they are solidly holding on to these seats. The only state that's remotely competitive, at least outside of the likely margin, is Maine. And, I expect North Carolina to very well narrow up, but what does that put them at? Even a net gain of 1 from 2018, which was 47 to 53 to 47 Republicans to Democrats. And this is even with, losing Alabama. This is not even discussing the possibility of a Democrat win in Montana or Iowa or Georgia or even Georgia Senate special election, or retaining Alabama, or possibly doing well in Alaska, which are long shots, arguably. Very much long shots. But at the same time, the Democratic Party can only expand from this map because they have secured the vote in Colorado. They have secured the vote in Michigan. They have secured the vote in New Mexico. They have secured it in Minnesota, New Hampshire, Virginia. And that leaves, they've secured it now in Arizona. So that leaves what? Other swing states that have Republican incumbents: Maine, North Carolina, Georgia Senate special, Iowa, Montana, Texas, Kansas, Alaska, Kentucky, Alabama, all of these traditional Republican states that are going to be less than safe margins for the GOP nominees in the state, regardless if they're an incumbent or not. And that's because the Democratic Party locked down their Senate races, whereas the Republican Party is fighting for their lives, quite literally, in these races. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the bottom left of the screen, there's also a Discord link for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch, and then a playlist for my other 2020 Senate election races. You can go ahead and see the Arizona Senate race that I analyzed a couple of months ago. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow in my Senate election video.